that was on the 8th. I did not update my work log last time, so now I have to do that. Well, I don't fully remember what I did, but yeah. After that, yeah, I know Thursday really creeps up on you. I almost forgot it was Thursday too, but I'd rather not forget. I feel like I should bring this over to the main monitor, but I kind of want to keep it on the left because of workflow. It's the work log I'm looking at right now. Just the TXT. Yeah, bring it over quickly. Just the TXT file for what the heck I've done. Forgot to do it last time, like entirely. Alright, it's pretty brief because I have to go off memory on that, but that is 8th work log. Alright. So barring that, we look at spheres again for reference. Also, I earlier today I got someone who had sent me a direct message on Nexus asking me to code these for Skyrim. I mean, I'll do that eventually, but I want to emphasize eventually. If I ever get back into seriously wanting Skyrim, I really hope they can fix some of the major flaws in the engine. I feel like they'll have at least some ways to address them, but... Alright. Spaced out. I still have a relatively strong urge to play Warframe, but that's just because I haven't played it all day. As I mentioned, I've been reading light novels more so than playing Warframe. Lately, I've just been getting like the daily stuff, doing the sortie and the steel path incursions, and maybe like one other thing, whether that be just customizing an appearance or like an extra mission, and then that's just it. Just reading a light novel all day. Barrow comes in tomorrow. Pluto. I don't even have 1,000 ducats. That's how little I've been playing. Normally I have like 2,000 ducats by now, at least. I only got like 700. Well, in another sense, it does mean I'm actually cutting back on playtime. Alright, where was manager? Okay. That's so bright. I don't know how to do a dark mode on Notepad, but I also decided to add a descriptor for related scripts and globals because that's not terribly used. I think just in the term used, you already get what they are, but related, you may not know. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to keep it on the left monitor then. So after the description, like immediately afterwards, there's engine objects. And that's only in main that I list these. Well, this is a pseudocode for main, so it's fine. Let's try tap there, tap there. Is it clothes or clothing? I'm gonna assume it's clothes. Correct that later though, if I need to. I already forget what I named them in the engine. Well. Okay, I did not put it on the taskbar. You know, I should probably pin this now. Using it more often. Just close your eyes, and the white can't hurt them. Okay. What's clothing? Actual distinction is clothing. Alright, and then we have just 3 items. Alright, I was doing the whole DL for Dark Welland, because one of the tutorials said you should put your initials in the stuff that you make. It's kind of signature. Eh. You know, I might change the editor IDs then. Might. I think I want to keep the AA though, so they're at the top of the list. Alright, so. I guess. Could just go with the old naming sense DL scalar. Scalar, because it's scales, and then DL, because initials. I think I'll go with ADL. Oh. Hmm. I'm gonna put them all into one mod. I'd like them to have one name to go by. It's either scalar or armory. Scalar. Coloring. Been doing C++ comments, but I should really just be doing engine comments, I guess, which would just be semicolon. Definitely faster than double slash. Okay, did I make enchantments though? I doubt I did at this point. For now though, let's edit these IDs. Open match. Okay, IDs are edited. Now I'm looking at magic. Enchantment. I did not make enchantments. Ooh. Oh yeah, I should have that item, huh? I wonder though. So in Zephyros, I have this DL refresh item I made under the clothing section. And I remember that being just a torch. Or rather, the torch slot has no mesh, has no collision. An empty item goes in the torch slot. So it just, pop in your inventory, equip it, unequip it, pop out of inventory, and use that to force refresh some things. So I don't actually have to guess, hey, do you? Because other thing I could do is say I could re-equip your armor. And that will cause some refreshing to happen. But maybe you play naked. Maybe your character is just a nudist, and they just have Zephyros anyways. At which point it doesn't really work because I'm assuming you're wearing armor. So it'd be best to just hand you an item, force you to equip it for a frame, and then take it away. And I chose torch because torch slot, you don't really use it that often. And I tried it with an actual torch equipped, and you don't even notice it's been swapped out. You really don't. Maybe maybe it refreshes the timer or something for your torch, but I doubt it does. I think the game engine actually remembers that stuff. Anywho, pops an empty item into your torch slot and pops it out, so you can refresh some things. Probably UI though. I don't think it would refresh the items themselves that are on your person. Sorry, equipped. I mean, have you used a feather enchantment, dude? If you haven't used a feather enchantment, I can see why you'd say nude is the fastest way to go. Okay, so then it comes down to enchantments, so I need to make clothing enchantments. Uh, yeah, I'll just I'll use the black band as a base then. I mean, okay, I'll say this, feather is a bit buggy. I mean, it's Bethesda, you expect it to be buggy. But normally, the stuff tends to kind of work, especially the magic, but like feather's an odd one. If you have multiple sources of feather, then the ones after the first don't really work. The first one does. So only have one source of feather is what I gotta say. Not sure how I'm going to accommodate that in my growth stuff, but now you know. And it's implemented weird too, because how it works behind the scenes is it just reduces the weight of equipped items. Like if you have 100 points feather, it's not that you're 100 units lighter, it's that your equipment has been reduced by up to 100 units. But the way that's reflected in game is your max equip burden getting increased? Because it also does that as well. So it's like how their armor is actually like it has decimal values, but it's not actually a float. It's just an int, and they just chose to treat it like it's a float, a two decimal float in calculations and in the UI, which is just I don't fucking get those decisions. Yeah, yeah, it just works. Except when it doesn't. Actually, before I make that, I think I can show you what I mean. Where's some like? Actually, let me look up on the UESP wiki because I have that open in another tab. So I can get the weapon damage calcs to see what I could do, and looks like I'll just have to. I think I was explained this last time, which was 2 weeks ago. I'll just have to make a listener for when you deal damage, and then just apply a second instance of damage based on the first. Because even though we know what's used in the weapon damage formula, don't really have means to directly access and influence it. So you can't do a whole lot of stuff with like damage reduction. I mean, you could say get the damage you're about to take, and then the listener will tell you it exactly before the damage is actually inflicted, so they can overheal the player by that much, thereby negating it. But like that's kind of it. It's kind of all you can do on the damage reduction front. Anywho, let's look at Oblivion. Mm-hmm. There, items. And armor. Alright, how's about we take a look at stats for Daedric? So you can see the stats for, Daedric. You have 18.75, 7.5, 11.25. Now, if I find Daedric in here, that's bound Kuros. Oh, yeah, it is 18.75. Hmm. Oh. Oh. Yeah. That's still an int. That's not a float or a double. That's just an int that's being forcefully displayed as a decibel value. So it's actually 1875. Because I thought that was a float too. But no, when I try to manipulate it, it doesn't work like a float. It really doesn't work like a float. So yeah. Yeah. I don't get why the fuck they did that though. Like, alright, I can think of some reasons why you do it. One is if you just don't support decimal values with your engine, in which case, like, alright, you have a workaround. Another reason is to say save space, because if you do an int, that's less space than a float, which is less space than a double. So you save some space there. Except this is the only place they do it, and that's a float. As is that. The health is also a float. Like they use floats and they use doubles liberally, and it's just armor value that has freaking int disguised as a double. Like, what were they thinking? So when I'm like increasing your armor by 1 point, I'm not increasing 1 point. I'm increasing it by 100 because of this stupid, silly decision. All right. Oh, and you do not want to mix weapon and staff enchantments there. There's some weird shit that happens. I guess they weren't. There's some weird shit that, like, this Paragon can, like, swap between all different weapon types, right? So, bow takes a weapon enchant. Staff does not take a weapon enchant. It takes a staff enchantment. But you can still turn, like, a weapon into a staff or a staff into a weapon. That's just how the scripts work, how I want them to work, and just before I'd actually made the separate staff enchantments. Oh my word. There's some weird tomfuckery going on with the meshes. Like, you ever shoot a fireball from a silver mace? Like, it's so. Eh. Like, eh. It got really confused about what model should go where if you have the wrong enchantments on the thing. Anywho, this will be apparel, and all I care about a scalar. I'm gonna enchant. Yep, and delete, delete, and delete. I'll turn off auto calculate. I don't think auto calculate really works though. I know in Morrowind, I know that apparel enchantments had charge, which was reduced to just weapon enchantments having charge. In Oblivion, which was reduced to almost nothing having a charge in Skyrim. So I'm guessing they're just going to do it with magic altogether in the sixth game. Whatever. Okay. Yep, create a new form. And now we have here our new empty form ID. So now all I have to do is just rename that. Okay. And then we save. So here's the thing, the construction set, especially with the extender, doesn't really crash. It can crash, but only if you have it open for like more than 24 hours does it really crash on you. It's still a good point to save, but this editor is more stable than the game itself. Unless you don't have the extender, in which case the editor is actually less stable than the game itself without mods. Or poorly modded, I'm not sure which. Poorly modded can really crash all the time, though. Double save just to be safe. And then yeah, and then we have directory Magica. Oh, right. Since auto-completing, it's really picking up quickly on the vocab I'm using. Enchantment, yes. And then we just look at AA. Everyone enchant. A left ring enchantment. Right ring enchantment. Okay, so that handles that stuff, except I think I'll just throw this in here. No, I'll do it later. I really want to like define the refresh item now, but I might do it later. Actually, let's see if I can do. Let's do a control F though through here. I actually don't use it anywhere in Manager. Okay. Let's see, there should be some kind of refresh name script. Script now refresh unequip refresh inventory. Here we are. Yeah. This was it. This was the thing. So I use that item just to refresh the inventory menu. So while you're in that menu, you don't have to close it and open it again. But yeah, I get your torch, and then I add in that blank item, and then equip it silently, and then unequip it silently, because it has no script, so I don't need to do a loud thing. And I remove it, and then I re-equip your thing silently. But make sure I run scripts, just in case there's scripts, though. I think. 2NS. The equip item 2NS behaves identically to equip item 2, but suppresses the UI message generated by that command. Alright, duplicates the behavior of vanilla equip item command, but also causes the objects on equip script block to run if one exists. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, basically you can do player.equip item. I think it was the ID, doesn't matter now. And I'll just equip it, and it'll get you a little pop-up there that says, hey, this has been equipped. And that's what it does. Except, well, first off, don't save. There's unequip blocks. And the equip thing, as I said, it just equips it. You may not be thinking that far ahead, but it doesn't run this block. If you manually equip it in inventory, you click on it, it runs this block. You do a player.equip, equip item, it does not run this block. So the OBS team had to, OBSE script extenders, had to make a different equip just to run this. and I didn't fully develop all of them because they kind of started to pursue an alternate route as well. So I think if I remember right, they made listeners for equipping items and unequipping items so that you can bypass these unequip and non-unequip blocks. But those listeners aren't perfect. I think I found a bug and I sent them an email about it back when I was coding Zephyros. They haven't released an update yet because, well, the reason they told me is that it takes a long ass time for OBSE to get approved by antivirus stuff or to get scanned. So they only release big updates. They don't do small things because it just takes forever to get it approved. Yeah, yeah. So as it stands, some other listeners don't actually fully register everything that happens. I think it was a shield related bug. So I can't really use those for my purpose. I have to use these, and I didn't, and because they pursued the other route, they didn't fully flesh out the script running variants. What that means though is I can't do the refreshes completely silently. So one of the things that they did was I told you that they made one that equip item 2 that runs the scripts, so they also have unequip item 2 that also runs the unequip block. Then they have like equip item silent, or they have equip item NS, so it doesn't run the message, and equip item 2 NS. Then they have equip item silent that suppresses everything. No audio cue, no UI cue, no nothing. It just equips it. No notification to the player whatsoever, unless they're in third person. And then they made equip item. I think they made equip item 2 silent, and then they didn't make unequip item 2 silent. So I have to use unequip item 2 on NS or something like that. It was one of the two. It was either equip item or unequip item that they only made this silent 2 for. Because of that, whenever there is like a level up or other change, yeah. Or they never made the equip item 2 silent. They just have equip item 2 NS and unequip item 2 NS, because I'm not seeing equip item 2 silent on their list of functions. So yeah, that's what I mean by it's not fully implemented. Probably because they decided we're going to do listeners so you don't have to use those blocks. And at which point you can just use the regular silent function, so you don't have to worry about the item block running, because you can have a listener pick it up and do the same thing effectively. But those listeners aren't perfect. They aren't as trustworthy as Bethesda's code. Ugh. I can close that. Remember the days when I always had that open. So, yeah, didn't make it, so I'll delete that. Yeah, that's why I have a item specifically, a blank item that's specifically for refreshing things. Does it make sense? Like, the game doesn't have anything that like grows or changes while you have it equipped. There's Dawnfang and Duskfang, but how that works is it swaps out the items at specific times of day. So it's kind of, it's like no matter what it is, there's always an equip or an unequip happening. And since there's only stat changes when you change your equipment, Like when you actually like equip or unequip it, then the game only actually checks the stats and the models and everything at those times. It doesn't check it regularly because there's no point to it. That's just busy waiting or wasted time, wasted resources. Makes sense. But now here comes a thing from me that can change everything on the fly, and so I have to do as quiet as I can re-equipping of things so that I can force the game to actually update all the new stats and meshes. Eh. A lot of complaining about it and not so much coding. I'm not sure if I want to use restore attribute in here. So I saw that note. I'm glad I left that note. I mean, it doesn't make my job easier because I still have to decide do I want it to damage resistance or not, but it's a neat idea. For the most part, alright, so restore attribute is... There are spells that drain, and there are spells that damage. Now, when it comes to your primary attributes, your health, magic, and fatigue, drain just decreases the max, and damage decreases the current value. When it comes to your secondary attributes, like your intelligence, your strength, your willpower, personality, that stuff, drain is a temporary reduction, while damage is a permanent reduction. And you can only really restore the damaged attributes by, with other magic. And of course, the Temple Blessing, the once per day Temple Blessing is, or not actually, depends on your theme, I think. But playing at an altar and getting hit by the little projectile that comes out of the shrine will restore all your attributes. And so restore attribute is there to counteract damage attribute. It cannot increase your attribute above its actual amount. That's what fortify is for. So having constant restore attribute on yourself is really just a countermeasure against damage attribute. And most damage attributes are only like a couple points. I think the highest was like 8 points or something for the higher level poisons, except for Spriggans. Spriggans have a lesser power. Yes, lesser power. It's a touch spell. 50 points of luck. Right out the window. Doesn't sound that bad. It's luck after all. Giant negative, but it's probably reduce your luck to 0 because most people start off with 50 luck as their base. Except luck is actually used in nearly every calculation of the game. And it treats 50 as 0 for those shifting of the scales. So you now have a negative modifier on nearly every calculation. Which includes damage, by the way. Yes, luck actually influences the amount of physical damage you deal. Not in a crit rate kind of sense. It's like a hidden a bonus or minus to your skill. It's like every 4 points of luck is like a +1, a hidden +1 to your respective skills. So, you have 100 luck, then you get a hidden +1 to your marksman and your blade and blunt and hand to hand and so on. So 0 means you get a -20, which really hurts your DPS early on. I mean, as long as you keep it at 50 or higher, it's fine, but yeah, honestly, luck is pretty nice. Like, the description is actually pretty accurate. It governs no skills, but has an influence on everything you do. It does not affect the loot you get, though. I will tell you that. So I say it's used in a lot of calculations. Not all of them, though. It does not affect loot. Not sure if it affects enemy spawns. It is factored into damage calculations. It's probably factored into other random-ish events, like, for example, betting in the arena. It's actually factored in there. And I want to say Speechcraft factors in luck too, but it's probably the hidden skill boost. Yeah, yeah. Luck does play a role in a lot. As far as what it does in the arena, though, because the UESP explains this rather clearly, luck actually influences how much health the combatants have to start off with. So, if you have high luck, then the guy you bet on actually gets a fortify health effect. So they have a higher chance of winning. Though in combat, as I said, it's a hidden modifier to your skills. Every 4 points of luck is a plus or minus one to your skills, all of your skills. So yeah, getting face slapped by a Spriggan is a really bad time. I mean, it's not so bad late on because you got good gear, good enchantments, and your skills are high. So yeah, you do less damage, but it's not a huge amount. But like early on, when you have like 25 blade and you get slapped with that, you now have 5 blade with a fucking iron short sword. Like what? Oh my god, killing that Spriggan's gonna take forever. It does. Damage too. Anyhow, with this, I could let you choose it, or I could just leave it alone because as long as you know about it, you just know, oh, I got hit with damage attribute. I'm just either gonna pop a potion, pop a spell if I have it, or just goes to an altar and get that fixed. How? I'm sorry, I just remember the space program I was running for bears back when I was a demigod. I don't really remember what it was like when I wasn't a demigod. I mean, they come out of nowhere sometimes, but like, you kind of, or not you, I just slap them and they're atomized at worst. In the stratosphere at best. Just reminds me of the time I thigh slapped Jigalag. Oh boy. Yeah, I one shot Jigalag by the time I fought him. I was like, you know what? I made this touch spell. Let's try it out on a god and see how strong we are. And I'm just like, touch, or more precisely, just slapped his thigh. Because that's really all I came up to height wise. And he was dead. Killed the god with the bitch slap to the thigh. Yeah. Yeah, canonically, that makes my character way too strong. Way too strong. We're talking a Daedric prince I just killed with a bitch slap. Not even to the face. If you like it burnt, yes. Yes, I can cook a chicken if you like them burnt. Oh boy. But yeah, I could make that dynamic resistance, honestly. Not sure how strong I want it to be, because again, you're going to be getting resist magic, which is going to reduce the effect of damage attribute. And ugh, got the thingy in my eye lash or something. So you got resist magic to reduce it, and plus, once you know about it, you just kind of make make a detour to an altar, have a little prayer, little afternoon prayer, and then you're good to go. And it's also pretty rare, so eh, eh. Like it feels moot, basically. Yes. Uh, I mean, yeah, canonically, shouts are stronger than magic, or at least stronger than the magic that most historically recorded mages wield, even the powerful ones. But like, that's like a veteran shouter. But if we're going by like the scale of what they've killed and with whatever backup, yeah, I think Champion Azerto would kick Dragonborn's ass too. Like, yeah, yeah, that Dragonborn did kill Alduin with the help of several dead heroes. And maybe the Blades too, if they came into the fight. I forget that part. Like, you didn't fight Alduin alone. You fought with a lot of powerful NPCs. Champion Cyrodiil is just like, well, I'm going to enemy territory by myself. There's nothing they can do to stop me. I mean, just look at the Great Gate. You freaking speedrun of their biggest outpost with a siege engine in it and disable it by yourself fighting Daedra. And I know we tend to make light of Daedra because it's Oblivion, but canonically speaking, Daedra are immortal warriors who have hundreds, if not thousands, of years of experience under their belts. They are nightmares to fight because not only are they much stronger veterans than you, they're much more adept at magic and swordsmanship, or whatever weapon they choose to use. You can't even really kill them, you just banish them, and then they'll come back, and they'll remember you, and they'll adapt to you. So you really don't want a Daedra on your ass. Then the champion in Cyrodiil just cuts them down like they're fucking weeds. Like, what is up with this guy? Yeah. Oh, that's one ending. Hmm. I do wonder how strong dragons versus Daedra are, though. I mean, I know the Daedric princes are stronger than dragons, so in that regard, yeah. Yeah, I guess the champion is Cyrodiil still stronger. But I don't know how, like, a Dremora versus a dragon would go. Because there are really exceedingly few Dremora in Skyrim. I mean, there were the summon Dremora, so I guess they kind of count. Kinda. Hmm. Honestly, this is kind of a pain in the ass to implement, though. Dynamic resistances, that is. Where was it? Okay, that was a matrix I used to cut down reusable code. Oh, I think I found the script. Image analysis. So this whole script just like tracks the damage you take and the damage types you take. and awards XP appropriately, and it's like, fuck. This took a lot of testing, and it's still not quite accurate because, fuck, the listeners didn't quite behave as I wanted because of that whole player versus player ref thing I ranted about last time. Dude, there's like water breathing and water walking, and there's like fortify athletics and fortify fatigue, so you can just kind of. Oh, and fortified speed, maybe fortify agility. That doesn't really affect running speed, but still, why the heck not? You know, you could just fortify everything and kind of lays along on the water surface. With invisibility, too. You see a giant wake, a tidal wake, crossing the ocean away from Tamriel and towards Akavir. Nobody knows what it is, or where it's going, or what it's for. They just know there's a giant wake moving at high speeds from continent to continent. Well, you can space program too in Oblivion. It's just a hell of a lot buggier. Yeah, I think they was it water breathing or water walking? They gave that one enchantment on one item in like the Dragonborn DLC or whatever. The one with Hermaeus Mora. It was like a really rare item from a side quest or whatever. Like it's just weak. Magic is weak. Oh yeah, right. Space program Oblivion. So if you fortify acrobatics to like 500, engine breaks down. It doesn't crash, but the physics engine does not like it one bit. You can go higher, of course. There's no actual upper limit aside from like a hardware one for how high your acrobatics can go, but its engine can't handle higher than 500. You go to it was 500 or 501. The game just cannot handle your positional coordinates. I kind of want to show this. I may or may not still have the custom spell. think I'll have to create a spell in. In fact, now I think about it, I have to create multiple spells. Alright, we are looking for Fortify, Skill, Acrobatics, Self, Max Magnitude and Duration. Then we go back for. I'll make 3, because that I think 2 should be enough to break the engine, but we'll see. 3 just to be sure. Yeah, so 1's fine. Should have like what? Where's acrobatics? There you are, 437. Some fairly high jumps. Get 2 in there. And now we're at 722. Yeah, okay. Alrighty. I stay perfectly still, nothing breaks. And jump 3. 1007 acrobatics. This is how high we jump. This is what it's like trying to go forwards. As I said, the engine does not like acrobatics over 500. Actually, if I accelerate that with speed, though... You need athletics. Okay, I can overcome the glitchiness, honestly, if I have 5 stacks of runner. So yeah. Kind of hard to feel the jostling when you're this high up. Ah, there's the map. I never found the edge of this. This is just procedurally making more ground. Okay. I wonder where Bruma is. Yeah, I saw Shade in the hall. Oh, there's Bruma. It's kind of hard to spot from the air. Yeah, that's right. The tower has no collision. Except the outer walls do. Alright, I want to see how far the jostling remains even if you stop moving. So, let's see where we land. But sometimes I land pretty far off the mark because of, oh, I think some of it passed, though. My acrobatics might be 437 again. Okay, the engine is no longer grumpy. Let's change that. Okay. Yeah, you can see how the engine doesn't quite like acrobatics that high. And crash. What do you expect when you go on that fast and that high? See, I can understand the desire to curb magic because it gets pretty ridiculous, but also, isn't that the point of an RPG? To start weak and then become stronger than gods? Hmm. Anyhow, so I gotta get game loaded. And there's what? Actually, would this have dynamic resistances or not? I'm not sure if a jeweler should have dynamic. No, it shouldn't. It doesn't have an armor rating. Yeah, that answers that question. I guess I'll add to the work log the fact that I added a description for related stuff. There we go. It's kind of the only bit of real work I've done. And I suppose I could say I mulled over the restore attribute thing. Because I think it will be pretty neat. I'm not sure how often the ticks would happen, but it's like 1 point. Either it'll be once per second or it'll be once per frame. If it's once per frame, that's really ridiculous, but also within expectations for this engine. Still, you have 1 point restore attribute, you get hit this friggin' spell, and then like you just have to wait a while to get your luck back. But even then, it's just you can go to an altar and you get resist magic too, so it's. I think I'll just scrap it. Well, I could leave it as like a enchantment that you can actually choose yourself, but then again. And again. Well, maybe. There might be some overhaul mods that make it more prevalent. Yeah, might as well slap it over here. Not like I have to keep that up while I'm looking at this. did set debug mode. Actually, it doesn't really have to. Let's just set debug mode. Yeah, if it's going to be for everything, then I think I'll use scalar or something. Or not, actually. Maybe. I want the universal stuff to be scalar as the name, but like there's values for the armor, there's a value for the weapon, there's a value for the jewelry, so if I call them all scalar value, we have a name conflict. Well, actually, if I call them all... Not really. Huh. I mean, as I flesh this out, maybe I'll find an issue with using scalar as a variable name, but hey. For now, it should be okay. Because for the armor, it'd be like scalar body, scalar foot, scalar hand, scalar head, scalar legs, and scalar shield. Then there'd be scalar wep for, Spheragon. Scalar web, scalar bow, and scalar staff. That was an unexpected CTD. According to Spheragon. So there's scripts to change the weapon type of an item. You can use those to turn things into, bow, or into a two-handed weapon, or a one-handed weapon, or a staff. And like, alright, staff. I mean, never mind. That was later. At the time, I wasn't worried about staves, so didn't plan to do staves. But when I two-handed, alright, blade, and blunt, okay. Then you got bow, and have a ranged option to turn to Spheragon into. And like, you turn it into a bow, and it's fine. You turn the bow back into a weapon. Crash. Whole thing just crashes. You change the bow into another bow, it's fine. You change anything into a bow, it's fine. You change a bow into anything that's not a bow, and it crashes. The whole game just crashes. So I have to make... So there isn't one item behind the scenes. Through Spheragon, there are three. There is a weapon, there is a bow, and there is a staff. And they all have their own enchantments. Because with the bow, I'm circumventing crashes. With the staff, because it has its own unique enchantment type. And if you ignore that, things get real wonky. So, that's that. I mean, Zephyros has even more items because it just does. It's not because of some behind. It's not because of how bugged the engine is. It's just because there's a lot more armor slots than weapon slots. Alright, how do I order things? I should probably think through this properly instead of just following the template I've already set out for myself. But I'm kind of just doing the latter here. Oh yeah, I also need to set script flag. Well, I'll take a look at the listeners, because now I have a bit of a better handle on them from experience. Maybe I can make use of them. I mean, OBSE calls them handlers. I'm referring to them as listeners, because if you're at all familiar with programming, that's a more apt term for what they actually do. Kind of get what they're called handlers. Basically, you set up a thing, and then it handles when that happens. You can set up a handler for when you're taking damage. You take damage, and it handles it. Handles the instance where damage is taken. Although this is what a listener does, which is a way to avoid busy waiting. Because busy waiting is just to throw on like a while loop, an infinite while loop. It's just like, we doing the thing yet? No. Okay, we doing the thing yet? No. 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 Doing the thing yet? No. And it's eating up CPU cycles as you keep asking, are we doing the thing? So a listener is implemented just to say, all right, I want to know when this thing happens. Okay, we'll send you an alarm. All right, cool. We're going to go to sleep now. And your program can just do whatever the frick else it wants. It doesn't have to keep eating up CPU cycles because the operating system will just come and say, hey, the thing happened. When it happens. And that's what a listener does. It listens for the thing. So you don't have to spend time waiting busily. That's what the handlers do. Alright, event handler functions. On hit with, on magic effect hit 2, on actor equip, on death, on murder, on knockout, on actor unequip, on alarm trespass, on alarm steal, on alarm attack, on alarm pickpocket, on alarm murder, on package change, on package start, on package done. That's all AI packages, by the way. Like what the AI scripts, like their routines. On start combat, on activate, on vampire feed, on skill up, on scripted skill up, on drink potion, on eat ingredient, on actor drop, on spell cast, on scroll cast, on fall impact, on map marker add, on health damage, on create spell, on create potion, on enchant, on attack, on bow attack, on release, on block, on recoil, on stagger, on dodge, on soul trap, on quest complete, on magic cast, on magic apply, on water dive, on water surface. That's how I can do the whole water breathing thing. Load game, save game, post load game, exit to main menu. Console quit. On new game, on save inning. Those are all the listeners. I saw the list of listeners. So yeah, on water dive, on water surface, because I think there's in the basic functions, there's like an is swimming check I can do, which I mean, having to check for that every half second, I can do that. But seeing there's an on water dive and on water surface, it's much better. Don't have to spend cycles just asking, are we swimming yet? Are we swimming yet? Are we swimming yet? It's gonna act on the buffs. Just load up those handlers and be done with it. Assuming the handlers work properly, that is. I'll have to test those out. Okay, what was I looking for? On health damage would be helpful because I can filter that out for when you damage another actor. So I can add on the critical eye bonus. Otherwise, there isn't really another way to do it. At least that I can see. It just occurs to me, seeing on eat ingredient, that maybe you could gain XP not from casting magic but from eating stuff. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it is unique from Zephyros and Dusfergon. So, like, you just gotta stuff your face to level up your jewelry, which is weird, but alright. Yeah, on actor equip and on actor unequip are what you were intended to bypass the equip and unequip blocks. But as I said, they don't activate in every circumstance, so most circumstances they work fine, but not every circumstance. I think it was when you equip shields they didn't activate. It was one of those things like with the DualShock 3 and like with the equipping and unequipping things silently, it's just like it works for the most part, except for that one instance that you're actually going to be using a lot, and it doesn't work there, so you actually can't use it anymore. Mm. Seriously, what was I looking for again? Actually, I think I do use one of them though, because I don't think I have an unequipped block. Actually, let's go back to the object stuff. Yeah, there's on drop and there's on equip, so it's just equipping a shield. I think just on actor equip for shields specifically. It doesn't work. For everything else, it does. So on unequip works fine. So I definitely use that. So I have basically this script copy and pasted like 6 times, which you kind of want to avoid when you can, because that means you have to edit one. If I want to edit this, I now have to then edit every other 5 instances, and you may not always remember to do that, and then things are gonna get even more broken. You're on unequip. Yes, I just have one thing and one thing only. A bit longer, but it handles everything. Wait, is there an exit combat listener? Actually, hold up. There's like an old album I want to listen to. Question is if I can find it. I don't think it was in the first but I don't remember which one it's in after that. Not in floor. It's probably in 2. Yeah, it's in 2. Alright. Now, where in 2 is it? Ah, here it is. Ah, pinning a customer set. Anyway, I just pinned it in 2, which breaks my own rule on it, but that makes it easier to find. So go to IA 2, it's the top pin now. For 39 minutes, 11 seconds. Okay. you from the hospital now? Hmm. Welcome back. Nah. I don't think I'll type out the code there. Yeah, I have to copy how to do enchantments block in game mode and menu mode. But I make sure they're as close to each other as possible, line-wise. So I'm less likely to miss replacements in one versus the other. Although I guess I can maybe try to make the check one function. I've already cut it down quite a bit though. Guess I could cut it down further. How much do I have to pass in? Actually, can I even? Because the script extender adds functions, so they obviously there are some things that just don't work right with functions because they weren't originally there. So then I just have to make the function call in those two spots instead of having to have a code block in each one, no matter how short it is. But I might have thought it was also overkill with the functions too. Possible. It's possible? Possible. I guess such an item. There's a fair amount I'll have to pass though if I do that. Just how much though? Potentially 5 parameters, tentatively. Isn't too bad. I mean, it's not great, but not too bad. Can live up to 10 parameters in OBSE. Which I learned the hard way. They don't actually specify the limit. And the compiler doesn't actually have a limit either. But the engine has a limit. What is, you can have a function with 20 parameters, and hi Sobit. Welcome. As you can see, today's decoding night. So you can have a function with 20 parameters, and you can pass all 20. That's fine. Except if the actual function tries to make use of any of the parameters after the 10th, it'll say you didn't pass a parameter. But you did. So it actually doesn't support parameters over 10. Which is... yeah, on the screen now it's just pseudocode. I'm referencing my old code, old docs. I mean, it'll be better for you if I put it all on the main monitor, but my workflow is better if I keep it on 2. Oh boy. Oh boy, menu code. I feel like I could have commented this better. At a glance. I'm sure it's commented as thoroughly as the rest of it, but at a glance, this is gibberish. I don't want to get that specific though. Hold on, do I even need that? I see another repeat of the anti-enchantment code. I'm wondering if I actually need that, where it is. So there's tools in OBSE to detect when you enchant something. But Sigil Stone actually has a completely different menu ID, enchantment, even though they're kind of the same thing. So there's actually no listeners to handle that. So I have to do it through 2 completely separate approaches. Okay, so only get flagged if enchant once is greater than 0, but where can enchant once get flagged though? Oh. Oh. I think I get it. Okay, so I think what I do is, in order to make sure the end results, like the user experience, is similar on both, even though they're 2 completely separate menus with 2 completely different ways of going about it, I just grab the info I need off the enchanting menu and delay the undo until when Sigil Stone can, if it were the Sigil Stone menu. That would make sense. Alright, so in the main conditionals we'd have what? Form all We wouldn't be changing weights. Random? I guess random. Actually, do I really need to do form all and random all? So I'm doing them all together. I could just have a menu pop up when you want to do random or form. Or instead of all, we can do group. Nah, the point of this is like, as it is in Sephiros, you're changing the appearance of either the one piece or all of it as a set. But now that we have the weapon and the jewelry on there too, changing everything is honestly a lot. You probably don't want to change all of that. But maybe you do. So if I go form, and then have a sub-menu to say, do you want to change just for this item, or just this grouping, or just that grouping, or whatever, then, I mean, that works, but if you just want to change the form of one item, that's a bit cumbersome. So if you want to keep the form, and then form other, I think if I do group, and then give group the sub-menu, because I don't think it'll be that often you want to change everything at once. And I can let weight go because this doesn't really have light or heavy class like armor does. Enchantment. Form. And then have a key trap. Offer will pop offer / sacrifice. I'll pop up a menu which will key trap by just virtue of it being a menu. Mimic, and then another key trap. Oh right, there's actually some more stuff I forgot. Right, sets. How many set slots do I even want? 8? I think 8. So the menu boxes in Oblivion can only support up to 10 buttons. Some of that has to be, one has to be cancel / back, another has to be, I guess, going through with it. So I suppose I have like 9 buttons I can work with then. The first one's, no, I have 8, because the first one will be cancel, so you can exit through everything, and the other one will be back. So that gives me 8 slots, but if I want to do a paging, I have to save one for next. It should be 7 for that page, and then 7 for the next page, and 7 for however many other pages I want. But would you really need like 14 plus set slots? That's a good question. That's a good question. I think I should pose that to my users. Alright, and that probably take like a week or 2 or 5 to get a response for that, because it's an old mod. People don't frequent it that often. Oh, that's a work log. I quite have to poop, and it's also close to the end. I'll see how long I can hold this in, but it's gonna end soon. I'll just... fair warning. It's almost 22:30. So I'm glad you stopped by, so, but even though it's... you only got like... you're only gonna get maybe 15 minutes at most if I end on the dot. There's that. End 1002. Inventory, then we do oh, fair enough. I'll say this, the first hour was just me and Schliff kind of shooting the wind about, I guess, how strong Champion Cyrodiil is compared to how strong Dragonborn is. We both agree the older gen's stronger. Oh, and also a bit of ranting from me about this engine. I get myself started on that stuff. I'd find myself splitting my attention between actually trying to listen if I'm truly interested. So, versus the thing I want to do, and splitting my attention usually results in me not being able to actually do anything in either task. It's just background noise though, like music right now. Yeah, it works. But that's just me. Anywho, this is the last menu mode block. For main, at least, as it should be. That's it. It's a very unfortunate block because there's literally no tools for sigil stone menus. You have to improvise. Don't have sigil once to find anywhere anyways, so okay. Well, I'm not sure if I can hold in my tail any longer, so I'll call it here. Thanks for watching, however long or brief. Back to gaming tomorrow, and then it's the off day, and then back to gaming again until next week for coding. And yeah, I'm listening to it right now. I pinned an AA too, like just now, because I don't think it's directly pinned yet. I listened to this album a lot while coding Sephiros. Yeah, you guys have a great night too. It's nice to see you.